Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We do have some new callers. By the way, first of all, if you're watching this and you cannot hear me, please let me know in the comments section. I did an hour-long broadcast not too long ago doing Packernet After Dark. I did all the calls, and then I finished, and then I went to upload it and realized there was no audio because nobody told me that there was no audio. So if you don't hear me, do me a favor and let me know. Just be a pal, will you? That'd be great. Also, as you'll hear, Jersey Mike, because I've already done these calls, called in and asked me to please not put phone numbers on the screen. I explicitly looked to make sure that it was okay. I'm like, yeah, it's got my number, it's got their name, we're good. Completely missed that your number was right underneath there, so I apologize. Hopefully you're not getting stalked at this point. If that's the case, I apologize. The number, 608-501-0718. Why don't we get started with new callers? I have no idea what in the world is going on here. But new caller number one, who I'm not going to give a name, what's going on?
Billy.
Yeah. So that's what you signed up for, folks. Yep. There he goes.
Science guy.
I mean, I guess I could call him Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'm just worried that if we do like a live call-in, the reason I want to have people's names is if we ever did a live call-in show where I actually took calls when they called in, I want to be like, okay, I put this guy's name down so I know he's legit. This guy called in when I was doing the live stream. It could be some, Bears fan who wants to call in, drop a hard R sometime or whatever. So we got to get to know him a little bit. But new caller number two, what's going on?
Hey, question for you. If you had your choice, would you, and you're going to do a trade, would you move up or move back? And if so, where would you do it? Thank you for listening.
So the benefit of this also is because my memory is so trash, I don't even remember what the calls were, so that one actually did take me by surprise there for a minute. By the way, please, anybody in the world, leave a comment. Just let me know that you can hear me. That'd be great, so I don't have to spend another hour doing this for no reason. So it's obviously impossible to answer the question because I have no idea who's going to be available or whatever the case may be. I'll say this, though. I do have a hard time moving up. Just because whatever the scenario, I could think of a better one. And I don't necessarily mean better in a vacuum. Pedro, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We got your call coming up next, actually. So, I mean, if we just run through this, what options do we have? We got Brian Thomas. That's about it for wide receivers. I don't necessarily at this point feel in love with that compared to, again, if I have to trade back and get a wide receiver, you got like Troy Franklin sitting right there, Adonai Mitchell. It's just not worth it for me. If I'm moving up for a corner is probably the best argument because you got Kool-Aid, you got Cooper, you got Nate Wiggins. But again, I'm a Rakestraw fan, so I mean, if you're talking about in giving up value, whatever that would cost, third round pick, well, let's not say third because some people want us to get rid of those anyways. Let's say we have to give up a fourth round pick and get Kool-Aid compared to trading back, getting a fourth round pick, and then getting Rakestraw. I would definitely rather go back and get Rakestraw. And then defensive tackle is also tough because these are the two guys I really like. But again, I mean, just based on do I even want to do that? So if you're forcing me to trade up or trade back, I mean, I generally speaking want to take the value. I mean, if we can trade back and get another second or something and get some of these guys, third round, fourth round, whatever, I'd probably rather do that. But, I mean, there are some studs. And if we end up trading up and I see, Cooper DeJean, I see Nate Wiggins, I see Quinion Mitchell, I see Byron Murphy or whatever, I'm going to be jumping up and down. I'm going to be excited about it. So I'm going to say trade back for those reasons. But, again, a lot of really good guys right in this range. Pedro says, is there a player that if he falls to, let's say, between 15 20-ish, you would trade up to get? That's tough. I fell out of love with Quinyon a little bit. I think he's going to jump into everybody's hearts after the combine because he's about to light that up, like a lot of guys are. But, I mean, you're probably looking at like a tackle if Fashanu or something falls that far. I know a lot of people aren't interested in a tackle, but that would be a situation. I don't think there's anything realistic else that could happen. And again, there's a lot of guys I like, but I mean, if you know the edge rushers, I like the guys that are supposedly already going to be there. Maybe Fawaga would be another one, but he's kind of already in that range. Otherwise, you're kind of looking at these corners. Would be, I mean, you got Mitchell, you got Wiggins, you got DeJean, you got McKinstry sitting in there. I think that would kind of make sense based on the value. Again, I like Rakestraw, but these guys are phenomenal corners. But all right, that's it for new callers. Let's get to Pedro. I think this is where we left off last time.
Hey Ryan, it's me again, Pedro, the redhead from Brazil. So I know I just called, but I still have a lot to talk about. And I was thinking about the draft, the Packers draft now at the Bears. So I'm seeing a good portion of the fan base talking about drafting a defensive tackle at the first round because we need one and da-da-da-da-da. But I don't know if I agree. If we were still on a 3-4 defense, I'm 100% with them. We do need that nose tackle, and we could improve that. But at a 4-3 defense, I don't know. We have like 3 pretty good defensive tackles, in my opinion. We have Wyatt, who has a lot of potential and is pretty good pushing the passer. We have Kenny, that it's not a top tier defensive tackle, but he is pretty good, and I do think that our fan base is underestimating him. And we have Carl Burks that had a pretty good rookie season, and I do think that he can improve. So I don't know if we need another top tier defensive tackle right now. So yeah, I think that on the first round we should really focus on our secondary and our offensive line, and I do think that we're going to do that. I would be shocked if the first round we didn't draft a offensive lineman or a secondary player. But this shocks me every single draft. So yeah, everything can happen. But yeah. So talking about needs, if you had to list them, I want to know what's your opinion. And my opinion is safety. I don't know. Actually, offensive tackle, safety, corner or linebacker, and then linebacker or corner. I think these are the top needs for the Packers, and I hope they draft that days 1 and 2. So yeah, let me know what you think, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
So first of all, with the defensive tackle discussion, I mean, all things staying exactly as they are, I tend to agree. We got 5 guys. We got Kenny Clark, TJ Slayton, Devontae Wyatt, Colby Wooden, and Carl Brooks rotating in and out of 5 spots, right? We also got Jonathan Ford and Odemegwu technically, and we'll see if they can ever take any steps or whatnot. But and also, like you said, not early, so we could also get 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, maybe find another Carl Brooks or Colby Wooden or whatever, and add that way if you felt needed to. I guess the only thing to consider is, first of all, again, you draft based on need and you see how things unfold, things change over time. But the questions I have are, number one, how long-term is Kenny Clark? He's in the final year of his contract. So, I mean, if he's out the door soon, that's thinning out, especially if you look at TJ Slayton, who's also in the final year of his contract, and I don't know if he's necessarily a good fit for this team. So you're looking at, possibly next year not having Slayton or Kenny Clark, and now you just got Wyatt, Carl Brooks, and Colby Wooden. And I kind of like Brooks and Wooden, but I don't know 100%. We don't know what we have in them. Do we have studs? Do we have kind of okay guys? Do we have whatever? So I think a defensive tackle could potentially be a pretty big need if we're not keeping those guys. And then the other question I had is it possible that Brooks and or Wooden could be slotted back outside? So if, let's just say, one of the two goes to the outside, Carl Brooks or something goes to the outside, now it's just Wyatt and Wooden with Slayton and Kenny in their last years. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Now, I'm not saying Kenny and Slayton aren't coming back. I'm just trying to kind of broaden out the thought process here. As far as needs, which, again, I've done this already, and I know I stumbled over it last time because it's tough. It's partly tough because I don't know, I mean, you'd have to tell me, is Savage coming back? Is Rudy Ford coming back? Is Jonathan Owens coming back? If not, it's hard to not say safety, because right now we're looking at a safety group that's Anthony Johnson and Benny Sapp. That's our safety group, with the Zaniac, Zane Anderson, along with him. So that's a huge need. Corner, potentially. Stokes is in his final year. I don't know what's going on with that. Valentine is a rookie. I like Valentine, but he's not it, So, I mean, we got Jair and what? So secondary's huge. Linebacker, I don't know. I mean, Isaiah McDuffie is in his final year. Maybe we bring back Eric Wilson. If we do, and there's no problems with Devondre, then we got Quay, McDuffie, Wilson, and Campbell, and I think we're okay. But, if we don't bring back Wilson and Isaiah McDuffie isn't long-term, it's like, well, we got two guys with Campbell potentially leaving at some point. I don't really know. And we need 3 linebackers plus depth. So that kind of challenges that. Edge, I think Edge is okay for the most part, but I don't know the plan for Preston. I don't know if Kingsley can do the job from where he's at. And so now you're looking at just Rashawn and Van Ness with Brenton Cox, and obviously I have no idea what he can do. So a lot of it is just kind of seeing how the dust settles. But at the end of the day, you're clearly looking at defense, right? I mean, wide receiver, we know what we have. Maybe we don't know fully what the talent is, but it's just a bunch of young guys that we like and we trust, and they're young and they're not going anywhere. Tight end is the same thing. Quarterback is the same thing. Offensive line, I think we need some stuff, on the interior. Potentially need a tackle. I know that's blasphemous from two different ends. The people that believe David Bakhtiari is coming back and the people that believe that Rasheed Walker is David Bakhtiari. I'm not in either of those camps. And then running back would be the other one. Dillon is currently a free agent. I don't know if he's coming back. I tend to think he is, but I don't know. And Aaron Jones, I mean, we're probably going to have to go to him again and ask for a pay cut, and if he doesn't take it, what do we do? He's in the final year of his deal. Do we just pay it and then we let him walk next year, or what do we do? I don't know. So offensively, it's running back and interior, because the interior is Elton Jenkins, who we like, Royce and Myers are in their final years, and John Runyon. So I know I didn't really answer your question. I'm kind of skirting around it. But like I said, it depends kind of what we have. Just looking at it as is, I mean, safety is the one that you look at and just go, I don't know what we do. And unless and until we bring some guys back, I don't know what we do. So I guess I'll just put that near the top. All right. Jesse from Oregon, what's going on?
Hello, Ryan. Hope you're well. I just wanted to get your thoughts on, I know we have a lot of draft picks, and we talk about, building to the draft, and I think that's all, I think that's great, and the fact that our sustained success is built on that, I'm all for it. The only thing is, I wanted to get your thoughts on bringing in Xavier McKinney. I know some of the other podcasts I've already talked about. I know it's going to be pricey for a safety, but he's young. He plays the same high role, and he's been very good at it, and a very, very good tackler. And I think that if you get that down, and then you're not chasing it in the draft, it might be worth the pay. Because I think a great safety kind of is worth the money. Another thing is, I'm wondering what you would think about bringing Jeff Okuda in, not because he's been great in the league, obviously, but the fact is that the last time that he had Cafley as a coach, he ended up becoming the 3rd overall pick. And what would a contract for him, whether it be a 1 year or 3 years or something, what would a contract for him look like? What do you think you'd be okay with? Or would this just be something you would be completely against, seeing as he has not played well in the league? Anyways, thank you. That great, day or night or whatever.
So I love the call because I love both points. Xavier McKinney, you're getting all the whole, they're sending cryptic tweets and, it's the date is closing in and whatnot. I just looked it up. He's sitting at about 14 million. I don't think that's terrible. I think that's pretty reasonable for a 25-year-old guy that's going to be on your team for a long time. I guess it's just a question of, do you fully believe it? Because, if you look at it, it kind of, if I had to guess, would say this is kind of his range. He's more of like, this is what he really is. This is the low, this is the high, and this is what he really is. And even if you look at this, he was on track for another 70-something year, but then he popped off. He just had a couple just stupid good games, and that really carried him up. But either way, I'm for it. We need a guy. This is a long-term thing. I think he's proven to be the guy. Like you said, really, really solid tackler, which I think is going to be good for what Hafley wants. Guys that can come up and actually make plays and affect things. And then the Jeff Okudah thing I love. Maybe he's just done. He's also 25 years old. Jeff Okudah might just be cooked. He just doesn't have it. I don't know. But the last time anybody saw this guy doing anything productive was at Ohio State when Hafley was his coach. And maybe it's just scheme. Maybe it's just the way in which they play. But, if we can bring him to Green Bay, and I'm talking pennies, right? He basically is not getting anything. He's been terrible at corner for 4 years. 3 years in Detroit. He was the number 3 overall pick. He didn't even make it 4 years. Detroit offloaded him before his 4th year. Atlanta brought him in. He was terrible. He got a 50 PFF grade, a 46 coverage grade. Gave up 494 yards, 92.3, 0 interceptions, whatever. He had one good game, and that was week 4 against Jacksonville. But, if he's not going to cost anything, you bring in a guy that has sky-high potential, and you say, hey, dude, remember what we did at Ohio State? Come do that here. And you can help to integrate. Like, it's going to be easy to teach. He knows how to do it. He knows how to run it. What's the downside? What's the downside if it doesn't cost very much? Bring him in. See if he'll come in on a 1-year contract or a 2-year contract or something. Who cares? I think that's fantastic. I would love to do that. It's similar to what I said about Jordan Love back when we picked him up. Like, if this guy's going to succeed anywhere, it's in Green Bay. If Jeff Okudah has anything at all, if there's any chance of him being the guy that the NFL expected him to be, it's going to be with the Green Bay Packers. And why wouldn't he come here? The guy wants to get paid. He needs to play better. Where else is he going to play better? Here. I'd be on the phone. If I'm him, I'd be calling up Hafley like, please, give me a 1-year contract, minimum salary contract. Let me come in and prove it. Let me show everybody what can happen. And I'm going to tear it up, and then you guys, I'll stay with you, and you can pay me, and I'll get the big contract. I'm in. I think that would be pretty fantastic. Jeff would bring the best out of Jeff. Yeah, I think so. Says too old for this. And maybe the best is not, maybe Jeff Okudah just can't do it. I don't know, but we'll find out. It's not going to cost us anything. And we can offload him if it doesn't work. But imagine if it does. Jeff Okudah was taken number 3 overall, was considered one of the best corner prospects to come out of college football in, a freaking decade. If you can even get 80%, 75% of what he was expected to bring to the NFL, we've got a great corner. So, yeah, I love that, man. How long have we been going here? Why don't we go ahead? We'll take our first break. We'll come back and hear from Blake in Michigan.
Hey, Ryan, this is Blake from Michigan. It is the day after the Jeff Hafley press conference. I guess I've just got some thoughts. I guess you can call it a hot take. It kind of goes against this narrative with the new DC getting hired. It obviously comes with a lot of comparisons to Joe Barry, and I guess I'm kind of sick of Joe Barry being drudged up again, which it's kind of natural to compare the old guy and the new guy. But with Joe Barry being brought up again, this whole argument of quote unquote nepotism in the coaching ranks comes up, which it's naturally tied to Joe Barry start with the Lions working under Rod Marinelli, who was his father-in-law. And I think sometimes, and a lot of this is just idiots on X and idiots on Reddit kind of parroting whatever they hear. But I feel like, you have people like Joe Barry that get their start that way, and then you get hires like Hafley that have mutual friends and mutual coworkers from their past stops, with Hafley working with Shanahan and Saleh and these people in the past. And I feel like, thankfully LaFleur doesn't listen to those criticisms, obviously, because LaFleur's not worried about the stuff that's getting, parroted online. He's worried about the collaborative approach, who will work best with me, and, Bisaccia and our GM, and who will work best with us, and who does he go by? His mutual friends. He goes by people that he trusts, like Saleh, like Shanahan. So I guess I just kind of want to speak up against the idea that, every single coach that has mutual contacts, or who has worked or crossed paths with another coach, that doesn't necessarily make them a nepotism hire or a nepo baby or something like that. That's just how the world works. So I guess, again, if people hear this call and a few less people make that argument about networking versus nepotism, they're two totally different things. So I guess I just wanted to get that off my chest and hope nothing but the best for Hafley, and, trying not to get too bogged down and rack my brain on how the scheme's going to be, because we've still got the draft and we've still got the whole off season, free agency, re-signing, letting guys go. I'm looking forward to all that over the coming months. Have a good one, Ryan. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Yeah, and I kind of touched on that a little bit, and I think most people are on board with Hafley and understanding what the actual relationship is with Matt LaFleur, which is not very extensive. It's more secondhand. But, I think the term is throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think many times we acknowledge that something is bad, and so then we take it to the extremes. Whereas, as I've always said, the problem with the whole nepotism thing, from my perspective, is that it limits the pool. And so the odds of you finding the best possible candidate when you're only hiring friends and family is that, you're not operating from a full pool, and so you're unlikely to find the best possible prospect. The extreme on the other side is you can't work with anybody that you're friends and family with. Well, that also reduces the pool. I want the whole pool open. Everybody's available, and you pick the best. If it happens to be a friend, if it happens to be a family member, then okay. And people are going to kick and scream and do whatever. But yeah, taking it to the extreme of, here's another guy that he's friends with, another guy. It's like, bro, they all know each other. Everybody knows everybody. So there's going to be some element of that you got to just be okay with. But, yeah, I mean, it just, and that's the thing, we don't know. We're not going to know how much of this is fueled by, like, he's my buddy, it'd be cool to work with him or whatever, and how much is legitimately them doing their due diligence from finding the best possible prospect. But I think most people feel comfortable with it at this point. I think we all understand that they were kind of casual acquaintances more so than anything. I think everybody really likes his resume. I think they like the direction that Matt LaFleur is taking the team with Hafley. I think everybody likes the fact that Hafley's choosing the coaching staff. Some people did stay, which is Hafley's discretion, I'm assuming. Downer, he worked with Hafley, so that must have played into it, and then he brought in his own guys to be able to coach his scheme. So, no, I'm with you 100%. I mean, nepotism is a problem, but we can't just take it to the extreme where it's like, you know him, you're friends with him, and you hired him, you're a piece of crap, and this team is going to suck. Like, calm down a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Garrett, what's going on?
Hey, Pack Daddy, this is Garrett from Southern Illinois. I promise no explicit language in this one. I was just simply repeating what was on the commercial, so sorry about that, dude. Really sorry. It just is kind of funny that you do get commercials like Lululemon. I'm like, I'm sorry, but the listeners to the Packernet, I can't see anybody going and spending money at Lululemon except maybe Broccoli Tom at the most, or
let Tom
Clayton's
live.
Wife. But anyways, I wanted to give you an idea for when you're doing the Packernet Live. If you would ask AI to do some artwork generation of some of the names.
I already got them made from the last freaking episode.
Yeah, Stephen Alaska. Should ask AI to generate artwork what it thinks Stephen Alaska looks like.
I gotta find
it. Jersey Mike, Omar the firefighter, Garrett the mailman, Joe the plumber. That would be an interesting one. I just think it'd be really kind of funny if we could use those artworks that are generated as stuff to put up on Facebook. So, just an idea. I'm out.
Man, that's going to annoy me. So I did do that, and then, because shortly after these calls is when Jersey Mike scolded me about the phone numbers, and so I took the phone numbers off. But I got to find where the pictures are, because then I started putting those up when people called. I might just have to start over, and we'll do it again. That'd be all right. It is kind of funny. It just, I just did it, man. All right, well, oh, here we go. Packer fan in Alaska, that's got to be it. All right, bonus. So, here is our guy that's talking to us right now. Bam. There's Garrett from Southern Illinois. Go ahead, Garrett, take it away.
So I was really taught to not only, if you criticize something, you need to offer a solution to that problem. And when it comes to the commercials that are played on Packernet, I thought, well, what kind of commercials are actually suited for the listeners to your podcast? And I would say I would start off with, you talk a lot about barbecuing, so a slaughterhouse would probably be suitable. There are a lot of people that live way out in the middle of nowhere, like Stephen Alaska. So Carhartt workwear would be probably another suitable commercial. Since, that Clayton's part of the network, I would say maybe Hair Moose and oversized coffee mugs.
Just tearing everybody up
for the most part, I feel like that covers base. Oh, and janitorial supplies would be another one that I feel like would be more suitable to your listener base. So maybe that'll happen. Maybe we'll just speak it into existence. We'll see what happens. I'm out.
So I have done that. I've reached out to, local Wisconsin places, barbecue places, whatever. Very little interest coming back at me. But at this point, I am exclusive through our hosting people or whatever. So I can still reach out, but then I got to send them over there. So it just kind of is what it is. Again, apologies for any awkward commercials you may be getting, but I don't really have the ability to refine it to the degree where I can't have Lululemon on here, and I wouldn't care. Some of the stuff that you guys were talking about that I didn't even know was being played was pretty repulsive, but I would definitely block that if I could. I don't have the option, so I apologize.
Well, and I've been listening to your podcast now since the very beginning. And this time of year, everything kind of gets a little bit. There has been years where there's been a lot of drama. But typically when, football news kind of slows down a little bit, you tend to get more calls from guys stepping it up and repeatedly hearing from, Broccoli, Thomas Austin, and
Rambo.
Goose, and, other people that have dropped off a little bit, which makes me wonder, did somebody cut the string to the Solo Cup, connecting Canada to Wisconsin? We haven't heard from Goose in a long time.
I know.
So I'm just, calling out all the listeners to, step it up, call in, give you some, quality calls rather than me repeating, stuff that I'm sure most people don't want to listen to, but when I'm taking my break, I got some time. So I'm here to burn some time. I'm out.
Brambo says, I'm here. Can you start over? Yeah, no, and again, I've heard the call already, and it does kind of, as you mentioned it, like, man, we haven't heard from so-and-so in a long time. There's so many people you start going through your head like, man, I remember this person used to call. They don't call anymore. So I hope I didn't tick anybody off. I don't think try to be nice to people, but sometimes I'm not. I don't know. And I know it's the off season; people got stuff to do. But I mean, we miss you, me and Garrett, and Pedro, and Too Old for This, and Brambo. I mean, we miss you guys, man. You guys got to call in. It just hasn't been the same without you. Here's Jersey Mike. Let me find Jersey Mike's picture here. Where's Jersey Mike? That's Steve in Alaska. This is Jersey Mike, supposedly. All right, Jersey Mike.
Hey, Ryan, it's Jersey Mike. So, I was having a great time listening to Packernet After Dark, watching it on YouTube right now because it's about to be uploaded to the Google Podcast later. First thing, I got a problem with you. Please, dear God, don't get my phone number out. I feel like people are going to start calling me.
Sorry, dude.
I don't know. No, but seriously, I would appreciate it if you could make it so that the phone numbers aren't available. I don't know. There's some stalkers out there, some weird people amongst the world, and yeah, I just saw a bunch of alpacas. That is amazing. I want an alpaca farm. Sorry, sidetrack. Squirrel. No, but yeah. Anyway, the other thing is, I'm not fighting anybody. Sorry. I'm capable of it. I live in Texas, so take that for what it's worth. And I'm a little bit hot-headed from Jersey. We got that, but I'm not fighting anybody. Sorry, I'm just not gonna do it. I mean, unless somebody starts something. Hey, look, guys. If y'all are hanging out, and we're hanging out at the draft or something like that, and somebody wants to start something, you best believe I'm gonna help you finish it up. But we're not starting no fights because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Anyway, on a different note, I'm
just to be clear on that. I think that was kind of the point. You know, it was more like if it came down to it. And it's kind of like that whole my dad can beat up your dad thing. It's not like I think my dad's actually going to fight your dad. They don't even know each other. They probably won't and whatever. But it's just kind of like a, hypothetical situation. If there was like that crew and this crew and this crew, I just feel like pound for pound, we might get the crap beat out of us based on numbers, but it'd be like a 300 thing, It's like 300 of us, 3,000 of them. It's kind of an even fight, you know what I mean? I'm just saying. And so I'm throwing you a little credit here, Jersey Mike. I'm saying because of guys like Jersey Mike and Steve in Alaska and, we got truckers and freaking Janet. We got blue collar guys out here. I just feel like we'd be all right. That's all I'm saying. I'm not asking anybody to fight anybody. I don't want to fight anybody. I like people. I like all the other podcasters and everything. I don't want anybody throwing haymakers or anything. It was just a hypothetical that I feel like over here at the Packernet podcast, we have a slightly different clientele that would be able to handle themselves pretty well. That's all.
At this point, we're talking about all the position groups that we think are most important. And I'm hearing y'all talk about offensive linemen, and I understand why you are completely for finding some offensive lineman pieces. And I just wanted to talk about the two that I'm really looking for. First is Cooper Beebe. You know who he is. I like him as a guard. I think he's a real good prospect. I think he plugs in for Runyon. And then the other one is tackle out of Mizzou. I believe his name is Javon Foster. I'll go double check later. I might be talking about the wrong guy. But Javon Foster, I'm pretty positive was his big hulking dude. I believe he plays tackle. Mm-hmm. And I think he could be moved inside and play guard because I think he's a little slower. But man, when you talk about run blocking, I was watching some tape of the running back out of Mizzou, and I just kept seeing these big holes opened up because his mauling run blocker was over there, and it was this tackle, Javon Foster. And that's so if we're gonna get some guys, I don't like any of the first round talent, second round talent. Cooper Beebe might be second round talent,
I like Beebe.
but those are my guys. Anyway, go Pack, go.
Yeah, so Mr. Javon Foster, where's he at, by the way? 136, so he's kind of in that range, when we usually hit on guys, maybe get him in the fourth round or something. But you're not lying, man. I mean, he really picked up the pass blocking. He's just one of those well-rounded guys that we're not going to draft because he blocks too well at run blocking. 320-pound freaking mauler, man. I don't know. I'd be super excited. Looks like he's played left and right tackle. No idea if they'd actually. You know what? I feel like they wanted to kick him inside. I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't him. I know there was a guy I looked at recently. He was 6'5", and everybody was like, "No, he's a guard." Probably the whole like short arm thing. I don't know. Either way, I mean, look, I'm not mad about it. If you get a guy like this that's 6'5", has that tackle, ability, the athleticism or whatever, but he's a freaking mauling moose that happens to be really good run blocking and pass blocking, and he's our new Runyon at right guard. I don't know, man. I'm not going to be mad about that. I don't think so much. Kyle from Madison, where's your picture, man?
Ryan, Kyle from Madison, man. What's up? So I'm just listening to your Packernet Live
Kyle
here,
from
and
Madison.
you're actually replying to one of my questions. You're talking about the Vikings quarterback
Kyle
situation.
from Madison.
And as you're going
Don't
through
have
the
Kyle
options,
from Madison.
I had the unfortunate experience of putting myself in the place of a Vikings fan. And yeah, it's kind of you're kind of screwed for the quarterback situation, right? And it's just kind of, what do? You'd have to give up way too much to get up there, probably, than you're willing to do. But you're playing just good enough to where you're picking lower, and yeah, maybe you get the fourth best quarterback. And then I start thinking to myself, gosh, this just, them being in the division, being in that situation, just highlights the brilliance of what ended up happening with Love, because that could have been the Packers, If Rodgers was on the team this year, he goes down, maybe not week one, but he goes down like Cousins, and then there we are without a quarterback, Had we not picked up Love. And it just underscores just how incredible that, whatever he ends up being, he just ends up being good from here on out.
Where did my thing go?
It's a crazy genius move, because you just see what could be with the Vikings right now. It very easily could have been our position. So, thank God it's not. Also, got a chance to listen to the new DC at his press conference. I understand nobody's we haven't seen him do anything yet on the field, but I couldn't be more pleased with how he represented himself and just the way he talked, and I was very impressed with everything he had to say. And I really came away from that just thinking that, okay, this guy's gonna freaking manage the defense. LaFleur better not be spending more than 5 minutes a week in there. You know what I mean? I got the sense that the head coach in him also was very evident. I mean, he definitely felt like somebody that could manage that entire side of the ball. So happy to see that. It was just, I don't know, it was nice to see that. I know that doesn't really mean anything, but when it's February, it means a lot, I guess. Anyway, talk to you later.
Yeah, Hafley knocked it out of the park, man. I mean, Packer fans are pretty skeptical about defense in general, and for him to come in and get the amount of buy-in that he's getting from Packer fans is quite a feat. Now, on the flip side, I suppose it would be pretty easy to get buy-in if you just say that you like to play man coverage and you want to be a fourth. If you just come in and say I'm the opposite of Joe Barry, which he pretty much is, I think you're gonna get Packer fans to buy in. But no, I mean he said all the right things. I mean, again, he comes in, the first thing he does is he butters everybody up. He talks about the coach is so good. The GM is the biggest reason he's coming here. The fans, the legendary team, the Green Bay Packers, and just how amazing it is, and everything's so great and so wonderful, and we got such great guys, and he trusts that Gutekunst is going to be able to continue to get guys to build a defense for him, and then he comes in and lays out his plan. And again, I think the biggest thing with Hafley that was so cool, and I'm repeating myself, but I love it, the entire premise is he's such a good teacher, and his ability to have a defense that is just simplistic, not so much in terms of it's simple for an offense to pick apart, but just it's built to take some of the weight off the players, and that's already demonstrated because as he's talking, you're going, oh, I get it. Like I said, I feel like I know Hafley's defense better than I knew Joe Barry's at any point. So, again, we still gotta work our way through it. We gotta see, but I am in fact a fan so far, and I'm excited to hear more from these assistant coaches. I think everybody on our defense is overqualified. I just saw we went and got the other Dugan, I think, the co-defensive coordinator. He's going to come in to be like an assistant. Like, this guy could have come in. I thought he was going to come in and be our linebackers coach. He's coming in to be like an assistant. Like, bro, everybody's overqualified. Everybody. It's unbelievable. Why don't we take our final break? We'll come back and hear once again from Jersey Mike.
Hey Ryan, this is Jersey Mike.
Hey.
So I got a little thought experiment for you.
Okay.
Play mock draft, roulette, whatever. I don't know what that would consist of actually.
Sounds
do you shoot yourself
right,
if you make the wrong pick? Or if the mock draft thing gives you like a worse grade or something?
Right.
No. But if we came out of the first just 3 rounds, okay, and we picked these people, okay, and I'll tell you what the consistency of the rest of the draft is. I'm not going to go over name.
Okay.
But you tell me what you would think. First, start off Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback, Alabama.
I like him.
Love him. Second, Peyton Wilson, linebacker, NC State. People don't agree with me. Some people do agree with me. I really think he plays a role in this defense.
Sure.
Anyway, we're going to keep on going. Third pick, Braylon Trice, edge defender, Washington. I really didn't look too much at edge defenders, but then JJ was talking about how edge defender late in draft doesn't really look great, and you know what? He's really right. So I think we got to go a little. I don't know how Trice fell. I was going to go for somebody else, possibly the guy out of Mizzou.
Trice is my dude.
But no, Trice fell, and I felt like he was a good pick here. Then we get Jalen Wright, running back, Tennessee. And then we get Devondre Sweat, defensive interior, Texas. So a lot of defense, real early. And then for the majority of the rest of the draft, it's guard, another running back, tackle. We get 3 more safeties, a line, and 2 more linebackers. So little offensive, defensive heavy in the back end there. Really offensive line and really defensive mid and backfield. That would probably be the focus. I mean, if we did something like that, in my opinion, where we started off real hot, like Brian Gutekunst likes to do, real early with some real key defensive pieces, right? And then get some mid-round studs when it comes to running back and guard, and then later on you go after some pieces for your guy, Jeff, our new DC, and I think that honestly, if we can come out with something like that and pick up a guy like Xavier McKinney or Devin White, just somebody on that back end there, who's a veteran, pay him a little bit, we cut a bunch of guys, cut the guys we don't need. I mean, I don't know. How would you feel if that was the situation? Anyway, go Pack, go.
Yeah, the hard part is trying to remember to keep that all in my head. But I mean, just at least on the top end, I'd love that. I mean, you'd have to probably switch Braylon Trice and Peyton Wilson for me, just because it feels, first of all, disrespectful, and also it just kind of helps with the whole linebacker thing. But I mean, I would take Braylon Trice at 25. I would trade up for Braylon Trice. I'm obsessed with Braylon Trice. I think he's an absolute freak show. But yeah, Kool-Aid. I love Kool-Aid McKinstry. So now we've got Kool-Aid next to Jair. We've got Braylon Trice coming in. Big 275-pound, real long, real fast for his size. I love the way he plays. Real strong edge rusher to get put in with the rest of the crew that we got. Then you got Peyton Wilson, which I think when you think about the linebackers, and let's just make something up. I asked on social media, like, where do you think the linebackers play? And nobody could agree. But let's just say, hypothetically, Quay goes strong side, because I think that kind of works for him. He can blitz off the strong side. I think he's a real solid tackler and whatnot. And then you can have Devondre at middle linebacker, and then you get Peyton Wilson playing weak side, just flying around making plays. He's about to light up the combine. Then you go out and get the running back out of, Tennessee? I forget his name, but he's going to run probably in the 4.2s. He's going to absolutely blow up the combine, just beyond ridiculous straight line speed. So now you're turning into the Miami Dolphins. You just got stupid speed everywhere. No, I it doesn't even matter the rest of it. I would be just laying on the floor convulsing. It would be a terrible show. You would hate to even watch me do the old stream for the draft, because I'd just be twitching somewhere. So I'd be super excited about something like that. Too old for this says Braylon Trice, real name, no gimmicks. Pedro says that mock looks pretty good, but I still think the one I sent you today is the template. Where was that? You sent me that on Twitter or something? Or maybe you sent it to him. I don't know. Who's next? We got... Oh, it's Pedro again. I get to use Pedro's picture.
Ryan, it's me, Pedro, the redhead from Brazil, man. So,
where you at? There he is.
Last Tuesday, I called
beast.
About something, but I didn't hear it on the podcast, so I apologize if you already talked about it. But I want to talk about Bakhtiari. So, you were talking on the pod about a possibility that the Jets try to grab him, trade for him, or whatever, but I really don't think that Bach would play for them because they play on turf. And in a division where a lot of teams use turf. After all the rant that he did about that, I really don't see him going to a place like the Jets. So, yeah, I want to know, besides the Jets, if you think that some team could be interested on trading for Bach or even signing him, if we did cut him. I think that maybe the Miami Dolphins could use a player like him, but I don't know. Want to hear your thoughts. And yeah, that's about it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
No, I think that's exactly right. And I didn't think about that as much. I should have. That's been his whole thing. I mean, he could do whatever he wants, and if he's willing to take the risk, that's fine. But, for you to stand up and make that like your one battle cry about, the turf conditions, and then, as like the number one advocate for it, being willing to take money to go play on that surface, it doesn't bode well for your argument. And the other thing to think about is, if you're David Bakhtiari, your time is almost up in the NFL. What do you want to do? I mean, obviously you could just take the most money. There's no shame in that. But, as I look at it, he'd want to go to the Jets, but I think that's a fair point that you could almost cross that off as a result of that. And so what else would you want to do? You'd probably want to finish out in Green Bay, unless he just really doesn't like it here, which I don't think that that's the case. Maybe he's with Rodgers and they don't treat people well here or some stupidity like that. I don't know, and he wants to go. If that's the case, fine. Have a nice life, I guess. But it does kind of bode well for, like, if he's going to play anywhere, why not play here? So we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. Pretty likely that he ends up getting cut. And so then the question just kind of becomes, with his new contract, what's it going to be and where's it going to go, I guess. Aaron, what's going on?
Hey, Ryan, this is Aaron. I'm just going to give a quick call because I was listening to your podcast on Jeff Hafley's interview, and there are certain things that popped up in my mind, having conducted interviews myself in the past. Jeff Hafley's press conference. But having conducted interviews in the past while hiring people, right? There are some times where it's just you're doing an interview, and you're just how the heck did we find this person? Is this real life right now? And that's kind of what I'm getting from hearing Jeff Hafley's press conference. Is there's a lot of stuff that it's he brought up unprompted as to a bunch of issues that Packers fans have had, and it's just as you said, it's a breath of fresh air, and it's such an incredible thing to see how Jeff Hafley is, and because at first nobody knew who he was, but now he's won almost all of the Packer Nation over, Anyways, but taking Jeff Hafley's experience, which his experience alone, just having so many different backgrounds, is incredible. But then take into account his experience of how he looks at players rather than saying like, oh, this is the player that I need to fit my scheme. Like there's like most probably defensive coordinators and GMs and everything do. Instead of like going into this draft and free agency, looking at it like, how does this player fit my scheme, or what player do I need to fit my scheme? He can go into it and look into it with his perspective of how can I use whatever player we get. He sees value in every player, and he gets the best out of every player. And another thing I got from his interview is, or press conference, I keep saying interview, it's basically the same thing with a bunch of different people. But another thing from his press conference is, like, I knew that he had coached Revis and Sherman and some of the best DBs in the league has seen. And then he just casually drops in, so when I was coaching Rondé Barber, I didn't know that he had coached Rondé Barber. And, like, if he can learn something from Rondé Barber, like, it's just everywhere we look, he's around some of the best cornerbacks who have ever played in this game. And he takes stuff from them. He learns from everyone around him. How did we get Jeff Hafley? How? Hopefully he actually lives up to everything he's done. But anyways, go Pack, go. My 3 minutes is about to kill me.
And that's why I think, for me anyways, and probably be a good idea for everybody, we got to kind of reset what we think we know about the defense. We got to reset, again, with the safeties, assuming Savage comes back, which I don't know if he is, Rudy Ford, Keyshawn Nixon, Eric Stokes, like the edge guys, the interior guys are going to be asked to do different things. They're going to have some different coaching. They're going to have different ways of playing. And so we got to kind of hit pause on top. We'll see what they end up bringing in. And I think that might be somewhat indicative of what they think we have and maybe what we don't have, more importantly. But, we got to relearn. I mean, Quay Walker could end up being a stud with this new thing, or maybe it could kind of hurt him. I don't know. But, I am excited to see what he can do. I'm excited, especially with the DBs, to see what happens when he gets his hands on these guys. And just see what we can cook up, because I know we got a lot of talent there. Jair Alexander, I'm very excited to see what happens when Jair is being coached up by, a really talented DB guy. I'm very excited to see like what we get from guys like Wyatt, who are just going to be able to cut loose and say, just go get them. So we'll see. It's hard to make assessments right now based on things that we don't know, and we probably just won't know for a while. But it's fun to speculate. Once we get into the draft, we'll have a much better idea of the direction of the team. We'll have a better picture of what we're going to be doing. I do think it's going to be pretty defensive heavy, but it may not be. You never know. But, so I guess I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for all your calls. Again, the phone number here is 608-501-0718. Just call in, leave a voicemail, no big deal. We'll get to you when we get to you, but I got to get out of here. I will catch you all later. Have a good